think obviously you guys are doing a great job and have done a great job today, delivering the message. We went down quite a few rabbit holes, and I think what's important about the rabbit holes is this is the conversation for me, selfishly, that I think I want to hear. Like, and again, some of it's not very sexy. We're talking about, legal shit, right? AB 3 whatever. Like, there's so many things to be talked about here, but how important that is and how that trickles down and how it impacts police culture and how it impacts the culture between police and citizens. And there's such we were talking about, you kind of brought up the, me standing in my business with a firearm and how reckless and irresponsible that is. Yeah, you can say that standing where you're standing.
I'm not saying
no.
Yeah.
The person, the camp out there, the population of people that would say that. Like, but you have no fucking skin in the game. So, it's easy for you to say kind of thing.
Well, those type of people would never fight for anything.
So that's a whole other podcast. But my point of that being is there's such a misunderstanding. There's just such a disconnect. And it's even a disconnect from what you guys just told me from one agency to the next in our own state. We're not even talking about multiple states.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think, for me, when I'm listening to other cops talk, whether it's online or offline kind of thing, there's a lot of frustration about that, but there's nobody really taking the lead in bringing it together. Training is a thing now. Training is like, do we get enough? Do we not get enough? Or in the training that we're getting, are we getting the right kind of training? And it seems to be so far behind.
And are we learning?
Yeah, that's the thing.
So are we learning?
So the 4 hours that I've gotten, like, what did I get out of that? Like, and who got it, by the way? Who actually got the training? I think we may have been talking about that before. We were talking about the school resource officer stuff. Like, who's getting the training?
Yeah.
Right? Is it the people that are on the front line that are faced with this stuff every day? Or is it a select group of people, as you were mentioning, Kenny, just with regard to, who actually is getting the information, then who gets the training, how is the resources being allocated?
And then once they get it, like the model that the departments typically have is like, we're going to send this person to the training.
And then they're going to come back.
And they're going to come back and they're going to bring it back.
Broken.
But what happens is they go to the training, they come back, they go, hey, this is what I learned. Shut up.
Yeah.
Get back.
Right. Oh, we're not doing it that way because we've always done it this way.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not effective. So again, just going back to building membership and building this advocacy for everybody. I think you guys are really onto something. What can I do besides this to help you guys? Like, what is it that I can do to contribute to this thing? Because again, going all the way back to the beginning, the cop I want showing up on our worst day or my worst day or my mom's worst day or my daughter's worst day is the one that's informed, intelligent, equipped, and capable.
I'll let him answer first and then I'll give my thoughts on that.
And my answer is going to go back to, I think you said this before about what people in general can do. What I was going to say is vote.
I knew you were going to say that.
Vote. You got to vote Republican. Vote because
that's coming back to you.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because it matters. The laws matter. Not just for you said it's boring. Yeah. Talking about legal stuff is boring unless you're a force nerd.
It's not sexy.
It's not sexy, but it matters. It probably is up there on how much it matters, not just to the cop, but to the citizen. And I said it before, citizens lost out on this too. It changed the way that we respond to calls, or it should have. If it hasn't, if you're an officer walking around and it hasn't for you, there's an issue.
I think you guys did a pretty good job at articulating that.
Yeah. So you've lost out. Your risk profile of victimization has greatly increased. So you need to vote. And when law enforcement groups, if you don't know the bill, look at who the law enforcement, what they are opposed to and what they're advocating for. And if you want to lower your risk profile, you should probably err on the side of what law enforcement is advocating for, because that hasn't been happening in California. And look where we're at.
Yeah.
This state is a John Carpenter movie,
That's a really good way of describing it.
It is. It's a John Carpenter movie.
Wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. Similar to what Kenny was going to say, or what Kenny said is, I think that if you look at what happened and how we got here, it was largely based on misinformation. Okay. most sensationalized police interactions that spurred the craziest violence were pushed into the media early with limited facts and inflated and fanned the flames of frustrated people, and then caused over time major sweeping
Changes.
legislative changes.
Mhm.
Okay. Roland Fryer is a Harvard economist who has done several studies. One of his studies talks about consent decrees and police reform. It shouldn't matter, but it does. Roland Fryer is a black man. His hypothesis in one of his studies is that, well, the outcome of one of his studies on police reform, specifically consent decrees, is that police reform negatively impacts communities of color and doesn't positively impact communities of color.
Every time, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Every single time.
And how it does that is by when you increase reform measures and government like oversight and accountability, structures on police, you decrease police contacts with the public. Because as we talked about earlier, there's no affirmative duty for me to do anything during my patrol shift, right? I don't have to get out of my car and talk to you. If I I don't have to make car stops. If I have to go to the call for service, but I don't necessarily, how I go, quotations, is phone call, whatever. So communities that are affluent, they're going to get their police. But communities that are struggling in inner city, San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose, I guess in some cases, or certain enclaves.
We always get left out. This shit here is pretty wild, man.
Yeah, no, it is. I grew up in Salinas, so I'm aware.
Yeah. You are aware.
Yeah. The police are going to decrease their interactions with the public. And when you decrease your interactions with the public, crime goes up. The victims of those crimes are largely Black and brown people. Okay. So the people that get hurt are the same people that you were trying to protect. What can you do? You could do the same exact thing that people did in order to get these police reforms done in the first place, right? We talked about carotid restraint. The carotid restraint executive order signed by Gavin Newsom, then bill, was not based on any factual evidence. It was based on a feeling. It was based on the fact that certain people didn't like the word choke. They didn't like the way it looks. And they convinced a governor through their grassroots measures to take it away. And he did. What people don't realize is that was the most humane police technique that exists to end a confrontation. You can turn off the human computer by decreasing oxygenated blood to the brain. I know it sounds violent.
So that's the thing. It sounds violent to some, but Cayo Terra.
Yeah, it's down the street. They do it every day.
No, they don't just do it every day. They'll do it 50 times a day. You go in there, right? I don't know what time it is right now. It's the world team.
Yeah.
It's probably finishing up practice right now.
Choke each other out every day.
Every single day.
Kids
Every day.
that do it.
All day.